I met Ethan in college. We spent 3 years together. Graduation day, Ethan told me he wants to take me home to meet his parents before departure. Ethan mentioned that his parents place great importance on etiquette. Don't let me spend too much money. I know, I understand. So I ran ahead to my cousin Oliver's winery, grabbed a few bottles of red wine. Before leaving, my mom wants me to take more LV bags. Her mom will definitely like it. I didn't bring much either, only brought 2 bags. One of them is a limited edition worldwide. Women all love those bags, so I think Ethan's mom will definitely be very happy. When I went out, Dad had Uncle John drive me in the Maybach. If the conversation goes well, give the Maybach to Ethan as a means of transportation. Thought for a long time. I still decided to refuse. Ethan always thought I came from an ordinary family. Therefore, the first time I went to his house, thinking about being a little more low-key. It's not bad to talk to him slowly in the future. I ultimately decided to use the car of the lady who buys groceries for the family. It was just a black Mercedes. I arrived at the bottom of Ethan's building. Uncle John asked me if I had taken the wrong path. I shook my head and laughed. Tell Uncle John it's all about genuine feelings, not concerned about status or class at all. Ethan's home is in an old neighborhood. It is said that this is a house allocated by the unit where his father worked before. I told Uncle John to take out the stuff from the trunk, then let him drive the car back. After Uncle John left, I called Ethan. Let him pick me up. Ethan, I am downstairs at your place. Can you come out to pick me up on the other end of the line? Ethan hasn't spoken yet. I heard his mother Margaret's voice. Margaret's voice is very loud. It sounds like it was intended for everyone to hear. Just a few steps. There's no need to come pick me up. I can't come up myself. She started giving orders to my son before she even married into the family. Ethan spoke on my behalf, explained to Mom, Sophia must have taken a lot of things. I'll go help her get it. After talking about Ethan, he just hung up the phone, waited for a while before going downstairs. I happily carried the gift. Follow Ethan home. I thought the boyfriend's parents would be like my friends when she met hers. Enthusiastic. I really didn't expect that. As soon as entering Ethan's house, an uncomfortable situation arose. Is this a warning to me? Margaret sat on the sofa, eating sunflower seeds, didn't even look at me, and her dad never came home. Today is actually a weekend. I asked Ethan. He told me his dad's company is closed on weekends, so I chose to come over on the weekend, but no one was seen at all. I am carrying 2 bags. Went to his mom's. Honestly, the first time meeting the family, I feel a bit apprehensive. I try to make my smile look natural. I handed the bag to Margaret, said respectfully, "Aunt, this is just a small token of my appreciation. Hope you like it." Margaret took the bag, holding it in hand, examined it closely several times. She finally gave a slight pout, clearly a bit unhappy, just tossed the bag onto the sofa, grabbed a handful of seeds from the coffee table again, making a constant crunching sound. She spoke while spitting out sunflower seeds. "Well done imitation. Is this okay? This is a limited edition authentic product." Then the value of a house. There is quite a bit of inventory as well. Lily's smiled and condition became talk to me. What my mom means is of a volunteer preparing to donate bone marrow. Marrow was involved in a car accident on the way. She doesn't have much preference for brands. Any brand is fine. Is this really right? I notice your current expression. Seems I already knew the bit truth, unhappy. Ethan immediately changed the subject, curiously asked what to eat for lunch. Margaret glanced at me, in fact, observed me earnestly. She finally revealed a somewhat dissatisfied expression. There were some leftovers yesterday. Just eat something. It seems that he doesn't like me very much. My friend went to her boyfriend's house. Noddle Hotel. I hope he can return the money from our joint account. But it's similar still needs to be background as known Ethan, in contrast, about bothered to make a new dish. Forget it. I'm not really picky about what to eat. Noon. His mother specially prepared a bowl of noodles for me as the main dish. I was surprised. The seasonings used for the noodles this time were all added by me. What is even more surprising is, when I was eating noodles, Ethan and his mom both had a fried egg in their bowls. There's not even a single green vegetable in my bowl. His mother was eating voraciously. It feels particularly enjoyable. I politely spoke to the aunt. I also brought red wine. How about giving it a try? My mom always loves to drink this one. Margaret glanced at the red wine in the cabinet by the door. He scoffed and asked in the end, "Do you have any good wine at home? I'm quite particular." I absolutely won't drink cheap wine. This is a vintage wine cherished by Oliver. Each bottle is worth over tens of thousands. Moreover, there aren't many of these things. Making money is not easy. I smiled faintly without saying a word. It felt quite funny. If he finds out that his red wine is called a cheap brand. Not sure what's on the mind. Finished eating. Ethan thought about cleaning up the bowl to wash it. His mother saw Ethan putting away the bowl, brows slightly furrowed. Then his mother raised her hand, gently tapped Ethan's hand with chopsticks, then gave me a glance. Is love just about making me wash things? Ethan felt a bit embarrassed. He spoke for me. Mom, this is Sophia's first time here. It may not be appropriate. Anyway, speaking of this, Ethan put down the dishes, pushed directly in front of me. Margaret asked with a smile, any questions? The first time I went to your house, also washed the dishes. I saw Ethan's awkward expression. The decision in my heart is to make it easier for him. I rolled up my sleeves, holding a bowl and chopsticks. Time to get busy in the kitchen. I smiled faintly. Aunt, let me do the washing. I was washing dishes in the kitchen. Ethan came over to help me. He doesn't really agree with this idea. I heard his mom chatting in the living room. Washing a dish is nothing. What's worth helping for? She comes from a working-class family. Want to fit into our family. Shouldn't there be more concern for us? Ethan listened to this. Really haven't gone back into the kitchen. Two people are watching TV in the living room. Watch and chat. The atmosphere is very relaxed. I finished washing the dishes and came out. Margaret pointed at the dining table, glanced at me. The table hasn't been wiped yet. Okay, no problem, I am at home. My dad won't even let me step into the kitchen. The oil smoke is too heavy. Bad for the skin. I am washing the dishes and wiping the table now. After the table is cleaned, Ethan invited me to sit on the sofa and watch TV with his mom. I am very happy to meet you. The scene of the first meeting with the parents is airing on TV. We also talked about the household registration issue. This scene seems to remind Margaret of something, still glancing at me with the corner of the eye. Sophia, I heard you're not from around here. I really am not like this. I nodded gently. Margaret's expression instantly hardened, gave me a careful look. There was a hint of disdain in the gaze. She said, your family doesn't have a house in New York either. I was just about to mention that my family has a few villas in New York. My dad is still considering getting a mountaintop villa for Ethan and me. It feels good to have less air there. It can be used for recuperation in the future. Forget it. Never mind, I won't ask. According to your situation, I'm afraid even a bathroom in New York is unaffordable. I was so angry that I couldn't help but laugh. It's not over yet. His mom was cracking sunflower seeds, said sharply, let me tell you the truth. Ethan earns $20,000 a month now. I heard Ethan mentioned you were an intern. A month's salary is $5,000. The official salary is just over $10,000. You have neither a car nor a house in New York. I don't think this is appropriate. I, Ethan, don't want to deal with people like you. Am I really going? Your family can earn $20,000 a month. How was it achieved? I intern with Ethan. Why has he already been promoted while I'm still an intern? Ethan asked me to give him the opportunity for full-time employment. I was originally the one planning to get promoted early. Ethan told everyone he wanted to buy a car. I think if I give it to him directly, it may make him lack confidence. So I came up with a compromise. I give him an extra 10,000 yuan every month. This way, his salary can rise to 20,000. This not only allows him to buy a car, it can also allow him to experience success in his career. Are you still laughing at me about this? Ethan stayed silent beside. It seems to have implied agreement with his viewpoint. Whenever money is mentioned, Ethan always remains silent. That being said, what kind of person am I? I am the sole heir of the Johnson Group. My net worth has exceeded 100 million. Am I not worth Ethan? I was 18. 8 companies have already been established. These 8 companies are all publicly traded. It has a great reputation domestically. I've always been quite low-key. Don't want Ethan to feel pressured. Didn't expect to be looked down upon by his family now. I, Sophia, can lose everything else. But money cannot be lost. It's really frustrating. I remember a line. I originally wanted to get along with you like ordinary people, but in the end, it became so distant. I glanced around the crowded 2-bedroom apartment of Ethan and the others. Throw away the apron as soon as it's taken off. Our ways of thinking are clearly different. I don't think this bag might suit you very well. Okay, that's it. Goodbye. After I finished speaking, just stood up and took the limited edition bag. Margaret's face was full of surprise and shock. Maybe she thinks I will ask her son to marry me. I turned around. looking at Ethan, who was unresponsive beside. Casually tossed the bag, climbed on the shoulder and walked downstairs. Margaret pointed at me and accused me loudly, clearly poor. As a result, when leaving, had to take back the gifts intended for her. Ethan, look, so this is the girlfriend you chose? I completely disagree with this statement. I gently shook my head. Couldn't help but laugh. We are indeed on different levels. I heard Ethan wanted to chase after, but he was yelled at by his mom. Immediately became afraid to move. It's been so long. I just realized that Ethan actually relies a lot on others. What I sent out, what is taken for granted cannot be regained. Saw an aunt sweeping the street by the roadside. I casually gave her this limited edition bag. The aunt was very surprised, repeatedly expressed gratitude to me. I know the aunt might not have much of a concept of bags. However, she still knows how to be grateful. Compared to some people, far from it. I didn't think much about today's events after getting home. Sit comfortably on the sofa and scroll through TikTok. This home was rented by Ethan and me during our internship years ago. In fact, this house is not for rent. Graduation. I think the housing prices in New York are too expensive for Ethan. Therefore, I secretly bought this one-bedroom apartment. Then, tell Ethan the monthly rent is only $500. Ethan is very happy. Also said he would contribute $300. I'll put in $200. Since then, I started collecting rent myself, reviewing the records of my conversations with Ethan. I suddenly realized I have been the dissatisfied person for the past 3 years. When I was a freshman, met Ethan at school. He is truly an outstanding person. As soon as arriving here, became the president of the student council. Ethan looks quite handsome. Therefore, many girls in college are quite fond of him. I have always been incredibly proud of him. Every festival in the past, I always want to prepare many gifts for Ethan. Balenciaga's sneakers, accessorized with Hermes jewelry and designer watches. Looks great, but Ethan always thinks the things I bought are fake. He never tried at all. I asked him. He replied that he was afraid of getting dirty. At that time, I really thought he cared about me. This made me happy for quite a while. Now I understand. He is not afraid of getting dirty, but it feels like this piece of clothing isn't quite real. Going out in it always makes him feel embarrassed. But Ethan, every holiday, they all send me a WeChat red envelope. The number is always 1314. I couldn't help but laugh. I realized that the clown was actually myself. You remember that competition? Valentine's Day has arrived. I talked to Ethan for a while. In the end, he helped me buy roses. This is still a wilted flower. This symbolizes unchanging love. At that time, I was completely immersed in the sweetness of love. At that moment, my phone suddenly rang, interrupted my thoughts. This was suggested by Ethan. I turned it off. Ethan has set out to battle once again. I made the call. Ethan sounded a bit impatient. Sophia opened the door. Oh, I installed the door lock incorrectly. I thought Ethan would come back and clear things up with me. I didn't expect that when I opened the door. I saw Ethan staring at me with an unhappy expression. As soon as entered, he just closed the door, asked me in a very serious tone, "Why is your attitude towards my mom so bad today?" "I'm sorry. I can't help you. It's my bad attitude. There's still prejudice against me." I couldn't help but laugh. He. This person is really a bit rude when speaking, Ethan asked, looking puzzled. "What are you laughing at? I won't hold it against you for the counterfeit you gave me in college. You also gave fake goods when you met my parents." "Sophia, what's going on with you? My mom is right. I did misread it. I'm really sorry. I can't fulfill this request. The gift I gave is fake, right? If I send counterfeit goods, then there are no genuine products in this world." I crossed my arms, leaning against the door frame, eyes fixed on Ethan. "Are you back to talk to me about breaking up?" Ethan responded firmly. "Say, yes. I really misjudged the situation at that time. How could you have chosen such an unreliable person? Such vanity." After speaking, Ethan went inside to tidy up. This really surprised me. How could he say that I care about my image? I watched him pack up his things intently. He took 3 bottles of water from the fridge, 2 bottles left. I have never been this silent in my life. I couldn't help but laugh. "Should the sofa be packed as well?" You can take the toilet brush. Please leave the toilet seat for me." Ethan always wore a gloomy expression. Completely ignored me. Finally, he struggled to drag the heavy suitcase out of the room. I still have the scarf he gave me. He stopped in front of me. "Naturally, show me the WeChat payment code. The previous rent distribution was a bit unreasonable. Now please transfer the total amount to me." The total is $1,200. You only need to transfer $1,000. I'll leave it to you to send me the remaining items after those $200. This is your compensation. I was really surprised. I didn't think much, just transferred him $200. I walked to the door, opened the door, pointing outside. I told Ethan it must not be lacking. You can leave now. It's just money. I have a lot of things. Ethan noticed the WeChat payment had arrived. A relaxed smile unconsciously appeared on the face. What's going on? Is he afraid I won't pay? This truly showcases the qualities of a Phoenix man. When he left, he specifically urged me to send his things over. I'll give you a big-headed monster. Ethan left. I quickly packed up what he left behind, even the sheets and utensils used by Ethan. I took care of everything. After returning home, I disinfected myself and the house several times. I finally decided to put the house on the market. Unpleasant things. The money from selling the house. I immediately bought myself a custom Hermes set. I thought after the breakup, we won't see each other again. I deleted all his contact information. Also blocked him. Even the job found together with him was resigned. My dad told me, just feel free to spend at home. This is amazing. These 3 years with Ethan. I almost had to consider his feelings while eating hot pot. I thought, it's time to return to the original life. So I called for Oliver. We went to a 5-star hotel under my family's name. I want to celebrate breaking free from the Ethan family's constraints. The steak at this hotel is top-notch in the country. The wealthy in New York almost all gather here for parties. So, in New York, everyone considers this hotel to be at the top of the food chain. I heard that this Oliver is a distant relative on my mom's side. In short, we are not relatives, but grew up together since childhood. He always makes me call him cousin. Others are handsome, still very rich, my mom said. When the cousin was in college, many girls come to him. Even a little girl was willing to give everything for him. For me, he is just an ordinary person, available to help anytime. My friend and I walked into the hotel. The waiters at the entrance quickly lined up in 2 rows. The lobby manager quickly walked over. My dad said, as his princess, I deserve to enjoy the best things in this world. So it's a company run by my dad. The employees there respect me quite a bit. Hello. Okay, you go do your thing. Such a big occasion. Passers-by are all speculating about who has arrived. I pulled Oliver, smiled, and said to her, I'll take care of the bill today. Oliver lightly stroked my head. Let me handle it. If you're dumped, you still have to pay. Then I would be a bit ungracious as a cousin. I blinked, a slight smile, pretended reluctance. Then I'll let you spend some money. Thinking back on the days spent with Ethan, I have never enjoyed such hospitality. Whenever Ethan is mentioned, I felt like I saw him at the hotel. Based on my understanding of him, he actually didn't want to come here. However, when I saw his figure turn around, I'm sorry, I can't help you with this. It's really him. Is this fate? He's still tied to the past. This is truly unbelievable. However, the following content surprised me even more. Ethan came out. Soon after, his parents appeared behind. His mother was holding a little girl. What about that Ethan? I've never even seen. His dad is wearing a suit today. It looks very formal. But that aura of doing things is still hard to conceal. The woman looked more ostentatious. It's obvious at a glance that he has just become successful. Every part of the body bears a mark. A dazzling gold necklace around the neck and a jade bracelet on the wrist. It really doesn't seem to match. Isn't this just a way to show off? Ethan's mother stared intently at the bracelet in the little merchant's hand. Actually, I forgot to bring the jewelry box from home that day. The sapphire earrings I wore that day can buy a whole set of luxury goods. There will even be a lot left over. Unfortunately, his mother cannot see this. Margaret's eyes are incredibly sensitive. I just wanted to grab Oliver and take him to my private elevator. Just as about to walk past them, Ethan's mom suddenly stopped me. A piercing scream came from behind. Immediately, all the guests in the hall turned their eyes towards us. Oh dear, this is what is known as quality. Hi, Sophia, son. You think that's Sophia? Ethan indeed glanced over at me, at the same time asked, Did you see it wrong? What place is this? She can't possibly be at the hotel in the Johnson group, just said. His gaze met mine. What a coincidence. I'm not just here. This is still my family's shop. I smiled at Ethan, also took off the sunglasses, let him see more clearly. In an instant, Ethan's eyes were wide open. This is really disappointing. Then I put on my sunglasses. The expression on the face changed instantly. I learned this from his mom. The speed of changing expressions is as quick as turning pages in a book. I stand there gracefully, She cast a dismissive glance at Ethan's family, who stood there in a daze. His mom blinked. It seems unbelievable. I'm not sure if it's because I came to this upscale event. Maybe my temperament has changed. A family and Ethan's blind date are all watching me. What are you looking at? His dad doesn't know me well. Somewhat confused. Upon hearing his mom mention that I was Ethan's ex-girlfriend, he immediately came across as very smug. She is your roommate. Also a girlfriend who often eats instant noodles. This family is truly special. Margaret is holding the little merchant walk up to me. The face was full of dissatisfaction. Why are you still thinking about my son? Even followed here. Sophia, are you still okay with that? Oliver frowned slightly, then glanced at me sideways. Is this your ex? This family is so full of personality, even though you don't speak. But I can feel what you are expressing. I rolled my eyes at Oliver, not taken to heart, walked past Ethan and the others effortlessly. Today, I'm carrying a limited edition Hermes bag. There are fewer than 10 in total globally. I swear I'm not bragging, just passing by. But Margaret is particularly enthusiastic. She turned around, proudly looking at the young businessman beside. Show me. My son says you have a fondness for replicas. Stop pretending. This is my son's new girlfriend. Her dad is a prominent developer in New York. I took a glance at the little tycoon. There is some sympathy for this naive girl. She probably doesn't know what Ethan's family is really like. I paused briefly, called out, "Look at that little girl. Ask the way. Are you a local resident? Is this a grievance for his family indeed? Very good." The upstart heard me mention that she was a local resident. The smile is really radiant. I finished the second half of my sentence. Her expression changed instantly, showed an unhappy expression, stared at me with an angry look. Margaret immediately put on a flattering expression. Comfort her. What on earth is this? I suddenly thought of the dog next door. Whenever the master is in danger, it is always guarded very closely. What are you talking about? Ewan is going to marry Ethan. Please don't bother my family Ethan anymore. While speaking, glanced at Oliver beside. She launched another fierce attack on everyone. People who don't know you think you've found a great new boyfriend. But those who understand know clearly. You all are actually ordinary people who like to pretend to be rich. Do you really think walking into this hotel proves you're wealthy? A goods is a goods. Will never be seen in this lifetime. I just smiled slightly. There's no need to argue. Hey, did you hear anything? I heard money has been a bit tight for you recently. This is a rare opportunity to tease Oliver. I won't let it go. Oliver wasn't paying attention originally, but I was just teasing. His expression immediately changed. He looks very elegant, but only I know he actually has another secret identity. He used to be an underground boxer, a person once challenged more than 20 opponents. Also knocked down too, indeed. Oliver's lips curled slightly. I understood that he was in a bad mood. Just as Oliver was about to move, I stopped him immediately. Since it's on one's own turf, still need to pay attention to politeness. You often talk about poverty. I will do my best to help you improve your living conditions. I took out my phone, made a call. Hey, Uncle John, I think you should fire Ethan. Stop giving him the monthly subsidy of $10,000. This money isn't needed anymore. You can donate to the Animal Rescue Association, used to buy dog food and the like. I said a couple of words casually. Ethan's job is gone. Ethan's family is staring at me. I smiled back at them. The people in his family widened their eyes, seemed a bit silly. I understand. Do they think I'm up to something? Wait a moment. You'll understand naturally. I crossed my arms, quietly standing by and observing. Ethan smiled. He thinks we are joking. Sophia, what role do you think you play? You're just an intern. Why act like this? Have you watched a lot of Korean dramas? When communicating with each other, it's best to use polite language. This seems more polite. Otherwise, I seem cold. I haven't finished yet. Ethan's phone rang. I glanced at the phone number displayed on the screen. I'm very sorry. I cannot fulfill this request. This is the phone number of my former supervisor. Ethan immediately resumed his humble demeanor from when he was at the company. Hi, hello everyone. My name is Ethan, Supervisor Lin. Do you have any instructions? What is this? Are you really going to fire me? What's the reason for this? Ethan said, staring at Oliver and me with an incredulous look. Margaret thought it wasn't a big deal. Just close to Ethan and ask, what happened to the son? Ethan stared at me, a displeased expression on the face. I smiled at his mother. Your son was expelled. From now on, you can enjoy life at home in peace. Margaret expressed skepticism, gave me a glance, then looked at the frowning Ethan. At that moment, the little rich man came out, casually comfort Ethan. It's okay, Ethan. My dad said to wait until we get married. You can work at his company. I will be the general manager then. Margaret immediately burst into laughter, extremely happy. Hearing the son talk about his job, I find it quite interesting. It seems it's time to look for new opportunities. Yuan's dad has arranged a position for you. Still the general manager. This family is truly skilled at performing. Everyone's expressions changed effortlessly, but Ethan was clearly unwilling to accept it. He stared at me. The expression turned gloomy. Ask the way. Sophia, who exactly are you? What makes you think you can make me lose this job with just one sentence? I just want to say what my identity is. I crossed my arms, gave him a light smile. You don't need to know. Just remember what your mom taught you. We are not the same kind of person at all. After I finished speaking, Ethan's face immediately turned red. I waved my hand gently. It's to prevent this family from affecting my appetite. The lobby manager immediately rushed over with a team of security guards. Ethan saw the security guard running over, instantly revealed a challenging smile. Sophia said, "This is not a place for you. I really wish the security could ask these two to leave." Margaret wore a proud look on her face. HMPH, don't look in the mirror yourself. This is not a place for you to come. What do you think? Don't you think it's a bit awkward? Sorry, please leave. The lobby manager was very polite, but the dissatisfaction in his eyes was obvious. What are you talking about? Why do you have to drive us away? Can you give me a reason? Ethan wanted to continue arguing, but the manager at the front desk replied to her politely, "This hotel is home. What exactly did you say? How is this possible? She is just a worker. The family is not well off. You must be mistaken." Ethan was stunned. The mother sat on the ground, crying. "It's really loud. Please handle it as soon as possible, to avoid affecting other customers." I waved my hand somewhat impatiently. The manager gave the security guard a nod. Then I saw Ethan being taken away. 2 security guards were covering his mother's mouth as they carried her out, finally quieted down. I took a deep breath, approached Ethan's new girlfriend with a smile. "This family is quite interesting. You like this type?" Having said that, I won't pay attention to her expression anymore, just turned around and left. Didn't expect that. The young lady actually chased after him. Margaret was furious at the door. Start shouting, but the security guard was firmly blocking her. She can't get in at all. The soundproofing of our hotel's glass is really good. She pressed her hands against the glass. Mouth keeps moving. I don't know what she is talking about. I decided to ignore it. Gracefully took a bite of the steak. This flavor is quite good. I squinted slightly. Her face was full of joy. Oliver stared oddly at Margaret, who was leaning against the glass outside, then glanced again at me leisurely eating steak after enjoying the delicious food. Next, it's time to go shopping. Go shopping in the afternoon. Oliver took out all the money. How is it? Oliver followed my previous tone, a gentle smile. I definitely won't refuse. I specifically instructed the lobby manager before I left. Ethan's family was blacklisted from then on, never allowed to enter again. I can't tell if this is fate's arrangement. In the afternoon, Oliver accompanied me to the mall. Just happened to run into Ethan and that little tycoon. This situation is indeed a bit challenging. This really leaves me feeling helpless. In front of the Hermes counter, as soon as the sales associate saw me, burst out laughing. The reason is quite simple. Every time I come, her commission could cover her expenses for several years. The counter assistant really understands me. The latest bags are all placed in front of me. See this batch of new styles. I instantly brushed off the worries from the morning. It can really solve many problems. Oliver looked powerful. All the beloved treasures must be collected. I was about to grab that pure black crocodile skin. Didn't expect a hand to grab it first. When the sales associate was about to stop, I found it was Ethan. I quickly stopped the service staff at the counter. "Please keep my identity confidential with the sales associate. Don't spread it around." The little boss excitedly hugged the bag, looking at brother Ethan with affectionate adoration. "Ask the way. I want to buy this bag. Can you help me buy it? This child is really naive. Let Ethan buy this bag for you." It really added a lot of burden to him. I really didn't expect that. Ethan actually agreed, ready to buy. I understand what he's thinking. A bag costs several thousand. After all, he once gave me the most valuable bag. That was a canvas bag bought from a decoration store. Never exceeded 3 digits. At that time, Ethan said the canvas bag was quite good, especially capable of holding a lot. Correct, especially good at concealing true thoughts. Seeing him agree so readily, I simply gave him the opportunity. I want to see his expression when he takes out the money. I turned to the lady at the counter, except for what this lady is holding. Please help me wrap the rest up. The counter clerk smiled. I turned around and smiled at Ethan. Kindly remind him, this is not a canvas bag. Ethan wasn't awkward at all. Instead, laugh at me. Don't think you're clever, really can afford so many bags. Don't lose your temper here. Stay calm if you can't afford things. This is not a roadside stall. The clerk at the nearby counter couldn't help but laugh while packing the items, because this young lady is our shop's only Supreme VIP. Where is the Supreme VIP? Do I look like a country bumpkin? The little wealthy man beside interrupted. I'm not angry. Give a look to the girl at the counter. Let her continue. Become a Supreme VIP. A one-time payment of $80 million is required. The sales associate wears a polite smile. However, the small businessman and Ethan stood there in shock. $80 million. This number is something most people may never see in their lifetime. This is just a top-up. Oh, didn't expect you would do it to catch my attention. Unexpectedly, let the sales assistant help you put on a show. Come on, let's go pay the bill. What is the relationship between acting and actors? I laughed right there. It's a unique idea. Saw Ethan getting ready to check out. A warm smile spread across my face uncontrollably. Are you ready to check out? You'll cry soon. A small upstart passed by a bag. Stopped. Examined carefully. Ethan is very meticulous. Took out the phone to check the price of this bag when that string of zeros appeared. I could clearly see sweat starting to bead on his forehead. Ethan shook hands with the young businessman. Said, Round, let's buy this one today. Things you want in the future. Ethan will buy it for you. I disagree. Where is brother Ethan? I don't feel shy at all. Uncomfortable. The little upstart is obviously quite interested in this. But the future Ethan described is simply too captivating. Ethan has been focused on painting for 25 years. The small businessman honestly followed Ethan to check out. Then I heard a sound like that. Sir, hello, you can check out now. You just bought the latest Hermes crocodile tote bag. The price is 350,000 RMB. Would you like to pay with card or cash? The number is 350,000. Are you trying to pry money out? This bag costs 350,000. Sir, could you please give me some advice? Are you paying by card or another method? Swipe the card. Ethan casually threw out a bank card. The sales associate tried it on, but it didn't work. So I tried again. This is now certain. Ethan's account doesn't have enough money. The receptionist politely handed the card to Ethan. Sir, your card balance is insufficient. Ethan slightly pursed his lips. The small merchant beside was furious, clearly feeling uncomfortable, eager to buy. However, there was no money to pay. Ethan touched another card again. That is the money saved by us together. If only he had taken it out, I might almost forget. It hides my savings of 200,000. I walked over and took the card from the clerk's hand. I smiled at Ethan. There's 200,000 in this card. Why do you want me to take back even 1,000 too? Are you planning to keep the 200,000 for yourself? Ethan's expression kept changing. In the end, it's just for that so-called face. He gave me 200,000 for the sake of appearance. He used several credit cards, just got that bag. Finally, the little boss returned home feeling down. I stared at the 200,000 that just arrived. A joyful feeling blossomed in the heart. I returned home. Ethan called me. He changed his phone number. Hey, hello, Ethan started accusing right away. Sophia, you have disappointed me. I really didn't understand it before. We'll be together with you. Did you deliberately make me buy a bag at the mall today? Your idea really surprised me. I didn't expect to bring you home to meet my parents. My mom is right. You're just a girl from an ordinary family, lacks cultural literacy. No matter how well you disguise yourself as a rich person, I just don't believe it. Am I really capable of doing this? I'm about to say the wrong thing. I've been holding back a lot. Is this okay? This disappointing man really annoyed me. That's right. So we have broken up. After all, we're different. You can't even tell the difference between Hermes and LV. How can one possibly know what kind of person they are? Do you think so? Ethan's brother is Brother Ethan. Why aren't you saying anything? I'm really sorry, I can't help you. Oh, that's right. There are some things I didn't make clear to you. Actually, the house we lived in before was bought by me, so that 1,200 shouldn't have been given to you. I thought for a long time. Decide to buy a shelter for the stray dog. Your previous salary was 10,000 yuan a month. The opportunity for permanent status is given by me. You may wonder why. Actually, My family is the largest shareholder of this company. I spoke for a while. Ethan was startled. He waited for a while before he couldn't help but ask angrily, Sophia, are you out of your mind? Did you buy this house yourself? Do you think I'm that stupid? You're so rich. Why rely on fake goods to hurt me and my mom? You even invited actors to help you perform. The hotel staff and the front desk personnel were also hired by you. That's right. I walked to the floor-to-ceiling window, gazing at the dazzling lights, said with a smile, what your mom said is right. We are indeed not on the same path. Ethan, do as you see fit. I don't think it's necessary to put it too harshly, so I hung up the phone. I just hung up the phone with Ethan. My dad called me. My dad told me a new property project is set to open with a ribbon-cutting ceremony. Called me to join the fun. By the way, is there a place where I can choose my own house? That's how my dad is. Whenever a new property is launched, he always asks them to save a set for me. I really can't figure out how many apartments I have in New York. It goes without saying elsewhere. What's crazier is, my dad actually had the developer combine 3 apartments on the top floor. It has become a seaside property. It can be said, truly understand me, only my dad. Oliver and I arrived at the ribbon-cutting ceremony. After all, the Oliver family is also a shareholder. What a coincidence. Unexpectedly ran into a very confident person. She is actually the daughter of an investor in my community. This investor leverages various connections. Just barely acquired a small stake. The little boss is dressed quite nicely today. At least today's outfit looks much better than that day. I just got off the Maybach. Just saw her waiting outside for someone. I think she might be waiting for Ethan. The millionaire saw me getting out of the Maybach. Stunned. What shocked her was not the Maybach. It's the license plate. Residents of New York all know this is the license plate of the Johnson Group. Not long after, Ethan brought his parents. The family looks well-dressed today. This dress I'm wearing was custom-made for me by my mom from abroad. Oliver held my hand. Ethan looked at me. He still can't believe it. He thinks I'm coming for Oliver. The upstart didn't tell him what he had just seen. Everyone found a place to sit. Margaret looks curious. Look around. The cake in front of her is piled high. I understand. After all, this is free. Ethan's dad seemed quite composed. The attitude is also good. However, his curiosity was still obvious. Oliver and I naturally took the most prominent seats. Ethan and the others might not understand, but on such occasions, seating position signifies status, able to stand in the center position, except for the people from Johnson Group. Who else is there? I stared at the giant letter J on the stage. A slight smile. Ethan texted me again from his phone number. What are you exactly? Today's event is quite special. You need to pay attention. Oh, they were afraid I would disrupt their family's plans. I glanced at the text message. Oliver also glanced at me. He took my phone, smiled. He said he would help me block him. Some people have been temporarily restricted in their movements. The moment of the ribbon cutting has finally arrived. Because the previous host left a suspense. Everyone is curious. Which daughter of the Johnson Group is it? Finally, Oliver stood up, politely extended a hand in front of me. I placed my hand in his palm. Sophia. Let's go. I placed one hand on Oliver's palm. The other hand is holding the skirt. Walked onto the stage with extra elegance. A burst of enthusiastic applause erupted from below when I went on stage. Glanced at Ethan's family. When I stepped onto the stage, Ethan's family's expressions look particularly funny. And that little tycoon, she doesn't even have the courage to look at the stands. She is a young, successful professional, but it's still not as good as Ethan. Kincaid realized he had messed with someone he shouldn't have. At this moment, the host's booming voice echoed through the venue. Welcome, Miss Sophia, the future heir of Johnson Group. Upon hearing my name, Margaret was extremely anxious. She stood up abruptly, eyes wide open. Ethan could hardly believe it, slumped in the chair. His eyes seemed to reveal. He missed a key opportunity. This is incredibly simple. My net worth has already exceeded 100 million. At this moment, the host mentioned again, today is Miss Sophia's 22nd birthday. I've heard that a gentleman has prepared a special surprise. How could I not know there's a surprise? My dad is messing around with some strange things again. In a little while, the red cloth has just been cut short. I heard a buzzing sound. This is really surprising. My dad actually took a helicopter to come and support me. That's just ridiculous. The helicopter landed steadily on the ground. Ethan's family was very surprised. After all, this is a scene that only appears in TV dramas. Now it truly appears before them. At that moment, I realized Oliver was gone. In a moment, he actually walked off the plane, even personally pushed the Black Swan's cake. Oh dear, I've been eyeing this cake for a while. Today I decided to buy it back, approximately $2 million. Oliver is such a generous person, it's not over yet. Oliver prepared a complete set of ruby jewelry for me. There is also a set of pink diamonds that sold for a high price at the auction house. Everyone present was astonished. This can't be achieved just with money. Oliver walked over to me, took the microphone from the host, said with a smile, "Today is my little princess's 22nd birthday. I have prepared some gifts for all the guests present, wishing everyone a happy day today." The gift from Oliver turned out to be a share in his winery. Everyone should be clear. Oliver Winery is one of the top wineries in the country, acquired his winery shares. Life can be said to be carefree. Ethan's family waited quietly for the clerk to hand them the stock transfer documents. Finally, the etiquette lady gave them nothing. Instead, asked them to leave in front of everyone. Actually, it's because they didn't receive the invitation. Margaret felt uneasy. Then they began to argue fiercely. She pointed to the receptionist next to her, completely unaware of reality. "I am your future mother-in-law. Miss Sophia, there's really no need. Aunt, please don't talk nonsense. I don't have such a strong-willed mother-in-law." The hostess turned around and stared at me. As a recent university graduate, I don't want to make her feel awkward. I waved for her to go down. I'm holding up my skirt, walked up to Ethan and the others, wearing a gentle smile. "I'm very sorry. I cannot help you with this request. I'm very sorry. Madam, we are not very familiar with each other yet. Today might not be the best occasion for you. Please leave." I said the last two words coldly. A few security guards in black suits quickly approached. At this moment, Margaret seemed particularly proactive, abandoned the little merchant beside. "Turn around and come closer to me." The little tycoon nearby was stunned. Don't know what to do at this time. The little merchant's father came. Margaret found it hard to connect with me. Then the eyes rolled, then turned towards that wealthier family. "I know the father of the nouveau rich. His last name is Lin Kao." Lin Kao looked at his daughter with a dissatisfied look round. What happened? The little upstart listened. Tears streamed uncontrollably down. His dad learned what happened, fuming with rage, so filled with rage. Margaret said hurriedly, "Father-in-law, this is not the case. We must not let this damage our harmony. Look, Yuan is going to marry into our family. From now on, we are all one family." Everyone present was very shocked. They had never seen anyone turn against someone so quickly. Uncle Lin shook off Margaret's hand, asked a bit unhappily, "Who is your in-law? Round. Didn't you mention your boyfriend returned from studying abroad? What kind of expression is this? Returnee talents from studying abroad. In fact, a shrinking turtle is more appropriate." At this moment, Ethan hid behind his mother again. Not a word. Margaret found it impossible to make a good impression. He has started to feel unhappy. She just sat down. The media friends quickly gathered around. "Haha, that's really funny. If I hadn't distanced myself from that matter early on. The female lead appearing in the news might be me." Lin Kao is quite an influential figure in New York, facing the media now. His complexion is clearly unwell. Margaret felt she couldn't offend either side. So relaxed, grabbing one's hair, pulling Lin Kao's clothes. Could the media possibly let such a spectacular scene go? The flash keeps flashing. The photographer constantly changes angles for Margaret. Sigh. "I really don't know what sin I have committed. The cooked ducks have all flown away. After all, this is a ribbon-cutting ceremony. Although there were some minor incidents, I'm actually quite happy to see it. I think it's time to stop." I confidently walked toward the emotionally charged Margaret. "Is the old part of your neighborhood going to be renovated? I recently found out that my family is going to develop a new property. Didn't expect to choose the old town of Ethan's family. As long as this project can be implemented, they could receive a huge amount of compensation for the relocation." Margaret quieted down immediately, looking at me in confusion. "Let me tell you now, the house and my family won't be demolished if you all keep making this noise. Affected the ribbon-cutting ceremony. I will have the legal department sue you. When the time comes, your son may encounter some issues." With that said, I gracefully turned and walked away. Margaret fell silent instantly. However, when I left, heard that young man plan to plead for Ethan's family. This is truly love. Unfortunately, I suddenly heard a clear sound. Before finishing, a sharp rebuke interrupted. The Lin family's reputation is completely lost. This kind of family can't be compared to ours at all. Let's try to minimize contact in the future. I am very happy. I'm extremely happy. Later, Margaret kept calling me. Please do not cancel the demolition of their house. She also said that if I buy Ethan a house, she would agree to marry us. In the end, did it come down to a compromise? She mentioned, if there's really no way, it's fine to have Ethan come over to marry. Absolutely outstanding. What is Margaret really thinking? I feel quite confused about this. I hung up the phone, deleted her immediately, also got a brand new SIM card. I've never seen such a shameless person in my life. Ethan is no longer in my life. He must be busy looking for a job now. Last time at the ribbon cutting, his mom made him feel really embarrassed. Now in New York, their family is famously unique. And because of the Johnson Group, other companies probably don't want to use him anymore. Apart from that, Lin Ko even specifically brought his daughter to apologize in person. It's just to make me happy. I waved my hand casually. Forget it. Anyway, this person hasn't bothered me. A small, wealthy man confided in me. She has already broken up with Ethan. I walked over and gently touched her head, felt very happy. When Ethan and the others returned downstairs, just ran into the cleaning lady. My aunt was carrying the bag I gave her that day. Passers-by lamented. Even the cleaning ladies can now carry Hermes bags. Successful people do seem very simple. Margaret stared at the bag on her aunt's back. Excitement began to rise within. She raised her voice to declare that the bag was hers. Now she is finally willing to believe that the bag is genuine. She knows very well. The price of this bag is enough to buy a house. Ethan is really helpless. Can't budge that thick-skinned mom. He got so mad that he turned hostile on the spot. Ask the way. How long are you going to make a scene actually? I don't think your demands for Sophia are unreasonable. Now you dare to throw a tantrum. Do you think our family isn't embarrassing enough? Margaret cried heartbrokenly. The sound is loud. The emotions were intense, always struggling to protest. Ethan ultimately felt very regretful, left alone. This person is truly very filial. Through this matter, I finally understand you are quite low-key, so others might think you are really poor. But I don't have time to think about these things right now. After Ethan's incident, my dad thinks I've grown up. Just let me manage all the business of the Johnson Group. I used to think about enjoying a life of fun and indulgence, unexpectedly forced into the life of a billionaire young president.